What impact does a recession have on management consulting? Hi, my name is Johannes and welcome to Mastering Consulting. On this channel, I share my own learnings and experiences from my own career in management consulting to help you to become successful and live a balanced life in management consulting. And if you're new to this channel, then please make sure to subscribe, leave a thumb up and hit the bell. This helps you to not miss any new video that will help you to become more successful in management consulting. And today we have a very interesting topic. We will talk about the impact of a potential recession on management consulting. Many people currently talk about a potential recession that will come during the next years. And obviously there's the big question, what impact does this have on management consulting? So there are typically two types of different people. The one group says, okay, a recession is good for management consulting because all of those companies need help with restructuring themselves, and this is obviously a huge business opportunity for consultants. The other ones say, okay, if there is a recession, then companies don't have money to spend on management consultants, and therefore it's a bad situation for management consulting. So who's right? In this video we will figure this out. So I started working for management consulting roughly 4 years ago, and I experienced three phases. The first phase was the time before COVID, which I call the pre-COVID phase. The second one was the phase after COVID, so the post-COVID phase. And the third phase that I want to open as a new category is the phase during COVID, okay? This were like, I would say, 3 to 6 months during the first lockdowns around the world. And if you want to understand what kind of impact a potential recession could have on management consulting, I think it makes sense to take a look at those three phases and really try to understand how that impacted management consulting. Let's take a look at the first phase, the pre-COVID phase. And this was a time of boom. So since the financial crisis in 2008, 2009, there was only one direction, and this was the direction up. And obviously this was a boom time for all the businesses and obviously for consulting as well. So most companies, most large consulting firms had records in their sales numbers, also records in their hiring numbers. So I would say the peak was like 2019, or beginning 2020. This was really a boom phase where the entire consulting industry was very, very healthy. And obviously this came from the large amount of projects that consultancies did. So there was an increased M&A activity in the past years. Obviously there was a lot of money to found new ventures, and the entire innovation topic really took off. Digitalization was a huge topic, and overall, there were many different possibilities for consultancies to sell consulting projects. So obviously this was a very good time for consulting, and we can say that boom times obviously have a positive impact on the consulting industry. The second time was the post-COVID time, and this was, I would say, let's say the end of 2020 up until now 2022. And this was a time that was not really a recession, but that was very challenging for many different businesses. Because of course COVID had a large impact on many businesses. Of course there were winners, okay, like especially the digital companies and the technology companies who had record highs in their sales. But there were also many losers. So people who suffered big losses in terms of revenue loss due to the COVID lockdowns. And obviously we had a lot of issues with all of those supply chains. So it was a very challenging situation for most companies. For the consulting industry, nevertheless, this was a good time because many consultancies got hired to do restructurings, to do sales push programs, to do some supply chain optimizations, and to do, in general, I would say, firefighting, because there were so many challenges that companies were faced with. So this was not a recession, but this could give us a glimpse of what a recession could look and feel like. And based on my experience, this was also a good time for consultants because there were still many projects that they could do. But we also have to talk about the third phase, and this was the during COVID phase. And of those three phases, this is the only phase that was really bad for management consulting. Because I remember it was like in Germany was I think March 2020 when we had the first lockdown. And many of the large projects within the entire industry got stopped or paused. We were in a situation where there was so much uncertainty that all of those large corporates stopped their consulting projects. And this had a huge impact on the consulting industry. So first of all, obviously, there was a large revenue drop. Also, people or companies couldn't staff their people. So we had a lot of people who were on the beach who were not staffed on projects. And some consultancies even stopped hiring. So they stopped hiring new people because they had so many people that they couldn't staff on projects. And obviously, this was a very bad situation for the management consulting industry. So what happened? The situation was that there was so much uncertainty in the market that all of those large corporates kept their cash very tight. And usually the first thing that you do if you're faced with a lot of company and if you want to keep your cash tight is that you cut all of the external expenses, because you know this is a cost position that you can easily get rid of. And this was exactly what we saw in the lockdown period in 2020. And this, as I said, had a very negative impact on the management consulting industry. So we can summarize that the situation for management consulting is good when we have a boom. It's also good if we have a recession, but it's very bad when we have a lot of uncertainty in the market. So let's answer the question, what does that mean for consulting in the future and what impact could a potential recession have on the management consulting industry? If a recession actually comes and if we take a look at the next couple of years, I think this will have a neutral or slightly positive impact on the management consulting industry. Because I think companies will be faced with many challenges and there will be a large need for doing projects like restructurings, turnarounds, cash optimizations, and so on. And this is obviously usually a very good sign for management consultants because this is a situation where you typically hire a consulting team to do that. But on the other hand, it might be different if the recession really hits. So if we see a crash, because then again, we could have the same situation as we had in 2020 when there is a lot of uncertainty in the market. And this could be again a situation where companies keep the cash very tight and stop many consulting projects. And obviously, as I described before, this could be again a very challenging situation for management consulting. So this means that we could see again some decreases in revenues. We also again could see situations where companies don't hire anymore, but this highly depends on how the crash or how a recession would really hit the markets. So again, to summarize, if a recession really hits, I think this will have no negative impact. I rather think that even for some areas in the consulting industry, this might have a very positive impact, especially as I said in restructurings, turnarounds, cash optimization, and so on. On the other hand, this could have a negative impact, especially if a crash hits. So again, there could be a lot of uncertainty, but this would only be a very temporary effect. Of course, I'm interested what do you think how a recession would hit the management consulting industry. So please leave a comment below, and if you liked the video, then make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Also leave a thumb up and hit the bell button. That helps you to not miss any video that will help you to become successful in management consulting. With that being said, I hope you have a very successful day. Hope to see you soon. Goodbye, Johannes.